Yes, indeed, it's a bright Tuesday, and welcome to the Tuesday edition of Journalists Hangout on TBC News. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo. Today on the program, Zamfara APC threatens to boycott rerun Bagura state constituency due to insecurity, ballot box snatching and intimidation of voters. Federal government bows to pressure from Labour, reduces pump price of petrol by 5 naira. Benue Governor Samuel Otom begs President Buhari not to reverse ban on rice importation through land borders, even as automakers express concern over their future. And later on the show, NEMA says floods kill 68 persons, wreak havoc in 35 states. I will be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Mojid Jamiu. Journalists Hangout starts now. Welcome. When two giant fish fight in a little pond, the impact will certainly be devastating. So when two big parties in Zamfara state, the All Progressives Congress APC and the People's Democratic Party PDP, decided to flex muscles over a state constituency by-election, the center may certainly not hold. After the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC declared the Bagura state constituency by-election of Saturday inconclusive, the APC is threatening to boycott the rerun. The party is citing insecurity, ballot box snatching and intimidation of voters as reasons it may pull out of the rerun. Let's share some videos of what transpired during the election on Saturday with you.
Kaga alburushi.
Alburushi ne sai na doki keshi.
Ai ga gida.
Shi ma mai ga wanda an kasa aka bubuge shi dan bala'i ne wanda mai
gwamnati ta turo su
ba abun gaba ne
wallahi gwamnati ta turo su wannan sojin gade abba su gwamnati aiki amma kaga wanga motocin kwara 30 na ma'aikata wallahi duk gwamnati ta turo su zaɓen ba su son ai kaga duk cikin ni babu runhon da ake haka sai ga runhon maka wannan runhon mutta ƙari ce so ake a kare ita su kai da bari
a shi ne sai ka son taro nan wurin
na kun ga bala'i yayi yawa wancan hudu ɗin ta'addan
na tola da
ta sallah gaba ɗaya ake da sai a hankali
sojan nan ne
Ni wancan ƙungiyar da suke yi. Wancan.
Ni mai hawari riga na abban gane ba. Mai hawari riga ga can sama innan sojojin.
Dan PDP ne. Dan PDP ne. Wanga sojojin suke son su sai su ba cin hanci.
Ya ne su.
Area boss ne. Kare.
Sun daukai? Sun dauki akwati? Yanzu nan dole ranar banza sun dauki akwatin shi. Ina lillahi ina ilaihi raji'un. Yanzu ba akwatin nan wara. Kuma an ƙar zaɓe.
Kuma da sun gaba na sana.
Wa haka nan?
Dan majalisa na shi ya suna bai da alheri bai wa kowa alheri.
Hannunka. Wannan babu lokaci da
kamar yadda kuka gani yanzu haka yan pdp ne tare da jami'an tsaro suka yi yan ta'adda da jam'iyyar pdp na kwaso da jami'an tsaron da za su taimaka musu domin kwaci akwati kenan da kuke.
Yes, you're watching this hangout and you've just seen sights and sounds from Zamfara State. Only this time we wish it could be about pleasant news, but this time it's about the Saturday by-election that just held. Let me first of all welcome my guests, Babajide Kolade Otitoju, welcome, and Majid Jami, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
BKO, it goes without saying, help us understand why should State Assembly by-election be so contentious, even warlike?
Yes, it's such a massive shame. I'm particularly ashamed that we are not making progress as a people in terms of electoral processes. There's no reason in the world for a mere constituency by-election to generate the kind of bad blood that we have seen demonstrated in Zamfara State, and the kind of brigandage that happened on Saturday in the name of an election. It just reminds us of what happened in Kogi. So it's the terrible Kogi example that some people are now copying, because in the past Zamfara was not known to have its elections conducted in this kind of atmosphere. It was never the case. But brigandage, attack on polling centers by bandits was what we saw on Saturday. Out of 123 ballot boxes that were used in this last election, 36 boxes were snatched. 36 boxes were snatched. And in a particular ward called Brinin Tudu, an area called Brinin Tudu, out of 12 wards, is only in 2 places that elections were held. Just in 2 places.
Just 2 places?
Yes. Ballot boxes were snatched, taken into the bush. The DSS recovered the ballot boxes, but they told the political parties not to touch the ballot boxes, and they got in touch with INEC to come and retrieve the ballot boxes that were snatched. We actually saw pictures of ballot boxes, and I hope
being snatched.
No, that were recovered in the bush.
Oh, okay.
Ballot boxes, and I hope the producer will let us see those ballot boxes already thumb-printed. Because as they were attacking polling centers, beating up people and chasing people away, they were cutting away the ballot boxes because they wanted to prevent their opponent from winning. So the shame of the whole thing was that INEC returned results from the same Brenetrudu area. Ideally, when elections are disrupted in an area, you cancel the elections in that whole area. The same thing that happened in Kogi, in places where there was manifest evidence of voter intimidation, ballot box snatching. Some results were announced by INEC. That's why I said before that, look, even INEC staff aid and abet election riggers. And this is one of the things that Professor Mahmoud must do his best to prevent in future elections. Otherwise, we'll just remain like a people who cannot organize a simple election. Can't we see our neighbors, they manage to do elections without people having their heads broken, without people being killed? Even before this election, 2 lives have been lost during campaigns in Zamfara.
You had the shooting.
So if in Brenetrudu, elections took place in just 2 wards out of 12, why would results be returned from that same area? It goes against INEC's own rule book. So it's such a terrible thing. Now, how are we sure that what's it called? That the rerun will be free of the kind of violence that we've seen in these pictures? How are we sure?
And that's the reason APC
and
is saying
said
boycott.
That yes, that's why they are scared. They are saying, no, why don't you push it further forward so that you can make arrangements for these problems to be addressed before calling for a fresh election? So is that indecent haste that is the problem? Of course, we've had PDP members saying because Yari is afraid to lose this and that. But look, it's possible for Yari to lose, but that is not the issue. Let's have elections in which shots are not fired into the air to scare our people away. No one can deny that guns were fired. No one can deny that people were beaten. Different videos, we can't even use everything. No one can deny that chasing people away. What kind of police do we have? What is the IG doing? What is he saying to his men? Policemen and soldiers should not get involved in partisan politics, because this is what we are seeing. Look at them. I mean, it's understandable if thugs go around disrupting polling centers. But for policemen to get involved, that means there's an official connection to this whole thing. So it's not simply what Muktari said, that, oh, security is lax in our country. No, a policeman got involved in shooting. This is the thing. So, and even when the REC in the state called the stakeholders meeting, the police who ought to have been present at that stakeholders meeting, they stayed away. When these kind of things happen, heads ought to roll. You've got to call the police commissioner in the state and tell him to surrender the people who are involved in this kind of aberrant behavior. You've got to tell him as the IG to produce them so that punishment can be meted out to them. Otherwise, we will never find a solution to this problem. No one is saying, people are free to change their minds about not voting for Buhari, about not voting for APC. But in doing that, let people see that the process is transparent. People are free to decide not to vote for the president. They are free to show their anger towards the president. They are free to show their anger towards the ruling party. But not when you are firing into the air. That means that it is election rigging. Let the people freely decide what they want. And if the people do not want the president or they are tired of APC, they will still be able to exercise their franchise and show where their heart belongs, but not without being forced to do so. Not shooting people in the name of an election. I mean, so this is the thing.
We have another call on the line. Hello, good evening. Ayo from Lagos.
Yeah, good evening.
Yes, you're on. Go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, I'm just lucky. This is my first time of being able to link up. Good evening, Mr. Babajide and Okumajid. Well done. To just make contributions to this program. This we're talking about, the problem is, when are we going to be ready to do the right thing as citizens of this country? What is wrong with our politicians? Now, when the president gives order to the IG passes the order to his men. Will the IG let us go to Zamfara himself to go and keep peace? Will the president leave his office and go and keep peace? Why can't we be ready to do the right thing? The politicians, what Nigeria are they looking at? What do they want to gain from all of these things? Why are we not ready to make sure that things now, if a person dies because of ordinary House of Assembly election, what do we gain from all of that? Why are we not tired of just bloodletting? Can't we just do something that is right at a time and just be? Can't we just make up our mind to be quite a good country to our children that are coming back, coming that are growing?
Thank you very much indeed, Ayo, for your contribution. Of course, we look forward to that time in our democratic sojourn when institutions will be allowed to run their normal course independently. You're watching Journalists Hangout. We'll take a break now and return with more. Stay with us. It's still Journalists Hangout on TVC, and our first port of call today is the Zamfara by-election that turned violent with shooting and snatching of ballot boxes. My guests today are Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Mojid Jamiu. Just before we exit this topic, MJ, what more or how can INEC be strengthened, or what more can it do in view of the rerun that is being, looked at now to strengthen staff and, security operatives in order to make it more transparent?
We had a whole state election in Edo in September, and also Ondo in October. No single shots were fired. And INEC received a kudos. To the extent that INEC attempted, they did a trial on the transmission, electronic transmission of results from the polling units. And we expected that with the second time that has just been given to the INEC boss, he ought to have improved on that. But what happened so far? It's quite scary. INEC should have made it a little bit more difficult for whoever wants to rig. It was almost impossible for you to compromise the process, for you to rig. So the same thing where we expect we are talking of just one state constituency, and we had this level of violence. Mind you, it's not only in Zamfara we had elections that day. There were elections in
Bayelsa, Lagos, Imo.
11 states.
Yeah, in 11 states. It's only Zamfara that we had this kind of probably in Imo, where there was no candidate, and no candidate, but then a party still won. So, but there was no violence. This level of violence, it's uncalled for. And I think INEC should not continue to absolve itself of issues like this and push the blame to the security and also politicians. We expect that in those polling units where there were cases of violence, all the results in those 36 polling units should have been invalidated or cancelled and called for another rerun, which is expected to be peaceful and credible, not just take 14 out of 36. So these are thumbs down for
INEC.
For INEC. It's not a good one for them from the start of the elections.
Biko, you have additional thoughts on that?
Yes, I think the way things are going, we just must do our best to frustrate election riggers. The more success election riggers record, the more difficult it will be for us to have credible elections in our country. We cannot allow the attitude to election to prevail in our country. That is not an electoral character by which Nigeria should be recognized.
Should be known.
No, we say no to ta-ta-ta-ta in our elections. Let the people freely choose their leaders. That's the only way we can record consistent growth and development. When politicians realize that if they do not truly work for the people, that the people will show them the door, they will sit down and work for the people. But when politicians have this feeling that no matter what the masses want, I will still emerge winner, then they will feel that they are not responsible to anybody. They will feel that whatever the people do, they will still win election. And even if they rig themselves into power, they will bribe judges, give judges dollars, and then the illegality will endure. We don't want to see that. INEC has a role to play. During the second term, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu had to ask himself how he wants to be remembered. Does he want to be remembered for the fact that the quality of our elections are going down? Because in 2015, the rate of use of the card reader was fairly impressive. And after that, in 2019, the card reader was so substantially bypassed. We recorded a small percentage of compliance with card reader.
Use of card readers.
In 2019 election compared to 2015. And in 2015, because the elections were generally credible, even the rate of litigation was low. The lowest since we transited to participatory democracy. But what did we see? In 2019, because the card reader was likely bypassed, because a lot of irregularities took place, many people decided to go to court. So the gains that we thought we made in 2015 were largely eroded. INEC has to continually look at its processes and see where it needs to change things. We bring professors, we bring academics. A lot of them are crooked. A lot of them actually compromise the process. You know, as we speak, academics are being put on trial in our state for rigging election. This was not the idea. We thought that if we brought people from the ivory tower, a lot of them would be reasonable, a lot of them would be decent people, but politicians have found a way to penetrate a lot of these electoral officers. And what do we have? Elections continually being rigged, continually not representing the wish of the people, but the triumph of the barrel of the gun over the wish
the will of the people. And it's really sad. We have another call on the line from Warri, Delta State. Am I correct? Good evening.
Hello?
Good evening. You're on.
I'm calling from Sapele, not Warri.
Sapele. Go ahead.
Yes. Yeah, good evening to the Wajide and
Good evening. How is Sapele now?
Yeah, Sapele is fine. It's fine. I'm good. You see, Wajide, you are doing a great job. Mojid, all of you are really trying for us. But you see, the problem we are having is greed. An average politician, before they think of getting into power, they already think of amassing wealth for their unborn generation. You see, that is the problem we have. And they will do anything, just like what used to say, whatever that will bring, they bring money that politicians will kill to get into that place. So I don't know if we'll find a measure. I want us to begin to suggest to INEC how best we can curb the excesses of our politicians, because in 2023, if we don't start doing things properly now, if we're seeing what we're seeing now in the north, it's a far cry from what we want in 2023. So please, let us bring out solutions. Let us begin to roll out solutions so that INEC can have more.
Thanks.
Ruben from Sapele, thank you very much for your contribution on the program. Moving on now. In a clear case of give and take, or you could call it compromise. The federal government has reduced the pump price of premium motor spirit, otherwise known as petrol, from 168 naira to 162 naira per litre, effective from next Monday. Apparently bowing to pressure from organized labor, the Minister of Labor and Employment, Chris Ngigi, announced the reduction after a meeting with labor leaders in Abuja. The product currently sells at 168 naira, following decision of the Petroleum Products Marketing Company to increase the ex-depot price of petrol from 147 naira to 155 naira per litre in November. But of what significance really is this 5 naira reduction to Nigerians? Babajide.
Well, I'm happy that reduction was effected, even if it's just 1 naira. What Labour has done is to demand for respect for the Nigerian people. We can't just simply be increasing the price of petrol just when we like. Petrol is a security product. If it becomes too expensive in our country, people will take up arms against the government. And the earlier government realizes this, the better, because everything is literally tied to petrol. You know, even the clothes we wear is an oil product, because you need either diesel or petrol to fire your engines and all that in the textile mills. So it's too important a product for us to not care about the ricochet effect that increasing its price will have on the prices of commodities, on cost of transportation and all that. The way it is now, even motorists who have increased transport fares will be reluctant to bring it down. That is the culture in our country. But Labour felt, well, we were in a conversation with government about the price of petrol, about the new electricity tariff regime, and suddenly you decided to increase when those outstanding issues had not been addressed. So it marks of disrespect to organized labor, and Labour just felt, look, you cannot do this at this time. Even the issue of the electricity tariff, they were still in talks. Then suddenly the discourse affected the electricity tariff increase. And the common man is not finding it funny.
As we say in Nigeria, what goes up never comes down in terms of pricing.
Yes, it never comes down. You know, so our people must realize, the government must realize that there is only a level to which you can push the people. As I've said before on this program, Jafar Nimeri, president of Sudan, he lost power because of increase in price of bread. And was it not even bread that caused the French Revolution? Yeah. So the people are going through a lot. We are in a recession at this time. Prices have hit the roof. No matter the level of respite that our people can get, I'm sure that they will appreciate it. And this is significant because it shows that Labour still has the capacity to negotiate with government and obtain some form of assurances that government will do what it wants it to do. So that's why I find this significant, not just because it's just about 5 naira. At least you have not, at this time, removed petroleum subsidy, contrary to some of the analysis that people were giving us. You have not officially removed petroleum subsidy. If you had removed it, PPPRA and even the Petroleum Equalization Fund, they will have no business in getting involved in petroleum pricing.
Yeah.
So for PPPMC to even be talking about petroleum price, it is because we have not entered the deregulation regime.
Yeah.
We have not.
And the minister, during the immediate past increase had said that Nigeria had not fully deregulated, that what happened was only a partial deregulation, that if full deregulation happened, fuel price would be in the realm of 182 naira. So MJ, what is the difference between full deregulation and partial deregulation?
Yeah, with full deregulation, it means that if you are in Kano, for example, you might end up buying fuel at about 200 naira per liter, while those of us in Lagos or on those states pay like 5 naira difference or 6 naira difference. When you factor in breeding cost, the one they call transportation cost. Now, it's almost the same now in Abuja, Lagos, Ekiti, or another part of the country. So it means somebody is still paying for this. And
Petroleum Equalization Fund.
Yeah. NNPC, because of the Naira-dollar exchange rate and the ease of access to Forex, it's only NNPC that imports all like 90% of our petroleum products now. They now use the tank farms of the private individual because they don't have that enough capacity for storage. So NNPC brings it in and they put it in the tank farms of some of the major marketers and the independent marketers. And now another thing about the pricing is the fact that if you go to an NNPC station today, from Monday, you will get it at 162 naira. If you go to a major marketer like the corn oils of this world, like the Total Mobile, you get it at probably 50 naira or 1 naira higher. And if you go to the independent marketers,
the Ipman guys.
Yeah, the Ipman. Maybe another, maybe one, a fraction, there'll be a difference. So you have like 3 prices.
Because many of them are from major marketers.
Yes, many of them are from major marketers. So the same thing with diesel, but no, diesel is fully deregulated. So, but it depends on where you are getting it from. Like there's a major marketer now that imports its own diesel directly. It doesn't buy from anybody. So if you go to a station owned by that marketer, you get it at rock bottom price. So we need to understand some of this. Like they said, it's a good move from government. At least for once, it shows that they have empathy for us. That they feel part of our pain. Because I'm happy that the organized labor also raised the issue of electricity tariff. There was, like a pause on the increment. But as I speak, from December 1, they have started effecting it. I can say that. Because
labor needs to take a look at that.
Yeah, I was buying 10,000, for my 10,000 units, I get 189, for my 10,000 naira before now, I get 189 units. But from December 1st, I was first wary because I bought 10,000 units, but I couldn't load it.
10,000 naira worth.
Yeah, sorry, 10,000 naira worth, but I couldn't load it on the prepaid. So when I complained, I got another code, a token that I should enter it into the box before it can activate the card I want to load. And lo and behold, I was expecting 189 units, and I got 168. So which means they have, from December, they have affected.
That's a huge chunk.
Yes, and they now, they now start sending messages that if you're having difficulties, they didn't say that we have affected a new price regime.
Expect you to know.
that if you're having difficulties or challenges in loading or charging your meter, then there is a 40-digit token that they have sent to you. You need to input it in your box before loading your card. So we shouldn't be doing things this way. And unfortunately, now the next meeting between the organized labor and the government won't happen till January 25, which means we are at the mercy of the discourse. But, we've been able to gain 5 naira from
we'll find out if that is a gain. We're still looking at the impact on Nigerians. We have Joshua from Abuja. Sorry we kept you on. Good evening, Joshua.
Yeah, good evening to you. Babajide, good evening to you and Mojid.
Thank you. Good evening.
Yes, I want to thank God for your life, Babajide, because I have been thinking, what is 5 naira removed in this fuel reduction? The one thing I like about you is you enlighten people. This program, Journalists Hangout, enlighten people. When we seem not to understand certain things, these hangouts light. So we can see that, yes, there is understanding between the government and the labor, and there is respect for labor. Said no matter the amount they remove, is the respect for labor, speaking for the Nigerian people, for the feelings of the people. I wish other journalists, we can be enlightening people, because government seems not to be coming outside to enlighten people on some certain things. But with this now, many people, when they listen to this program, they get enlightened. Now we're just knowing that we are not in full deregulation. The subsidy have not been removed. Just the way we are hearing from other people, subsidy have been removed, and they have gone for deregulation, this and this. So I have to appreciate you people for doing good work. Even though formally I'm not saying things with Babajide, I hope you still remember me. But I believe you are doing the right thing. I'm seeing things with you are seeing things right now. God bless you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Joshua.
Nigeria.
Thank you for your kind words about Journalists Hangout. If we were to look at, since the conversation is about the impact of 5 naira reduction on the lives of Nigerians, is it a foregone conclusion that the price of, transportation will not come down in spite of this reduction in the price of fuel? Or can we dare to hope that indeed a reduction can be compelled on transporters since they are buying fuel at 5 naira lower the cost? BKO.
The kind of transporters we have, there is so little that anyone can do to convince them to bring down prices. You can't convince them. They want to profiteer from the situation. The only way to go about it is for government to buy buses. In addition to the rail transport that government is concentrating on, let government buy buses the way we had in the 90s. Kaduna had KSTA, probably the best in the country at that time. They even had these double-decker buses. I remember that Kaduna imported double-decker buses, those buses that you see when you go to the UK. So if there are alternatives in Lagos, for example, to the yellow buses that we have, because if you look at BRT that mad people set ablaze, BRT provided a cheaper alternative and a safer alternative to simply boarding yellow buses in which you can suffer a broken limb, in the hands of so-called one chance people, So government needs to get involved, buy buses. That was why I suggested that, look, if you will remove subsidy, do some things that will cushion the pain, the inevitable pain. Transportation is one area where people suffer, So buy many of those buses. Invariably, market forces will bring down even the cost of transportation, because the government buses won't be charging commuters as much as those boys are charging them. And Ambode wanted to do something like that. My suspicion is that even those who set ablaze BRT, they did it because they saw the BRT as an alternative to their dirty buses, and they felt that, look, these people could simply run us out of business because they are cheaper. They provide services that those people. Yes, they provide services. You can charge your phone inside it. So if we bring a lot more of this into the state, for example, I know that Sanwo-Olu, given COVID, I know that finances are much lower than before. But if they can bring in plenty of those buses, not just those, even smaller buses too,
I was going to
compete with them, the prices would naturally come down. But the way it is now, they have what looks like a monopoly.
Yeah. Just last week, the federal government, I think the president, and through the NNPC, launched what we call the National Gas Expansion Program, where some buses have now started running on gas. It was launched in Abuja, simultaneously in Abuja, Lagos, and Port Harcourt, in certain NNPC stations. And part of the arrangement is for the federal government to buy some of these gas-powered buses and give to the Nigerian Labour Congress to distribute all over the country. And also, in addition, I think by next year, the Lagos-Ibadan train will be coming on stream, and I think they have even fixed the price.
That one is expensive.
3,000 naira, 5,000 naira, and 6,000 naira from Lagos to Ibadan.
That's expensive.
That's expensive for the poor man.
But compared to
those people will stand in front of road safety here. They will stand there. Those Ibadan people, they would 500 naira. They will get into a vehicle and go to Ibadan. You want them to go and pay
3,000 naira?
They won't.
No, but some people,
they don't care about that comfort.
And you know that
they would pay 500. People are going through a lot. They are suffering.
Quite a number of people who work in Ibadan and who work in Lagos and come from Ibadan. You know, they stand on the bus stops. So 3,000 naira is well beyond their...
I once saw people going to Ibadan, and this trailer was packed full with these long gas cylinders.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what they did? They got inside and laid flat on those gas cylinders. I said, must you go to Ibadan every day? If that's even the last vehicle that was available, must you go and sleep on top of gas just to get there?
Even the danger.
Coming from
the
Ibadan
danger.
To Lagos, all those trailers that bring cattle from the north,
yes.
When they stop at Ibadan, we will see like 100 people entering with cattle. And they pay like 100 naira, 200 naira.
That's imagery.
You know the danger
some people stay inside empty containers.
The train.
True.
The train will end up not being able to pay the cost of the loan, because up to now,
I think the price is on the high side.
Once the price on the high side, people will not use it.
And it's supposed to be
even
like 400,000 people per day.
The Kaduna Abuja train. Amechi said some time ago that they have not made profit after more than 5 years. So you price yourself out of reckoning, then
defeats the purpose for which it was.
It's supposed to be
put in place.
To pick poor people. I remember President Buhari's interview with TVC in Daura after he won the election. He said, I'm concerned about rail transport because I want to move poor people with it. I'm not concerned about air travel because it is the privileged people who use who fly. You know, he said it, I remember clearly. So if the price now becomes so exorbitant for the poor people that the president told us he had in mind, then who is going to use the train? Or are we envisaging that a time will come when the Lagos-Ibadan route will be as unsafe as the Abuja-Kaduna highway, and then all our big people too will be hopping into train? Yes. We had a park, and their convoy will be waiting at the train station to take them to their homes. Because they dare not use
this is imagery, you know, testifying to how difficult life is in Nigeria, particularly for the common man. You're watching Journalists Hangout on TVC. It's time for another break. When we return, there's more. Stay with us. This is Journalists Hangout on TVC. Now, before the break, we had, I hope, done justice to the merits and demerits of the 5 naira reduction in the price of fuel secured by organized labor. As we move on now, the partial closure of Nigeria's land borders is still in force, and rice farmers appear to be the biggest gainers. Governor of Benue State, Samuel Ortom, is appealing to President Muhammadu Buhari to sustain the policy on the ban of rice importation. He urged the president not to succumb to any pressure to open the land borders. According to Governor Ortom, the policy has helped in boosting rice production and agriculture in Benue State, the food basket of the nation, that's it. But it is a different song for the automakers who are singing sad tunes. They express grave concerns over their future due to the reduction in tariff for imported cars. Gentlemen, let's look at some of the benefits that Governor Otom is quoting. Improved production of local rice in Benue State. And there's another revenue made from the closure of land borders. That's another topic. But how far-reaching, is this experience? Do we have it in other parts of the country? What about Ebonyi, where there's also local rice production? What about the partnership between Lagos and Kebbi State some time ago? Yeah. MJ, you want to take it?
I think I love the statement made by Otom. We normally refer to Benue as the
food basket,
and they still remain so. They have this rice we call Boko rice. It's as popular as our own Igbemo rice, which Babajide has been begging me to bring for him. These are varieties of rice.
You've not brought it.
It's been begging me, but
so Babajide is the only one on the list anymore
now. My offense. So the point that he has not brought it, he needs to tell you.
So now, this local rice, we have the Abakaliki rice, we have Ofada rice. Now, before now, in 2016, Nigeria imported 2.5 million metric tons of milled rice, the one they call imported rice. This has gone down to about 1.4 million metric tons in 2019. We don't have the figures for 2020 yet, but it's come down from a figure of about $4 billion annually spent on rice importation. Now we are down to less than $2 billion. And what that does for our economy is that it reduces the pressure on the naira dollar exchange rate. The same rate, at the same way, fuel importation puts so much pressure on our
naira dollar exchange.
Now, Otom is saying that now we are having an increased local production of paddy rice. I know a woman. I'm not going to mention her name. She's a major importer of rice. Now she has a rice mill and a very huge local rice plantation with support from the CBN's Anchor Borrower project, where she took some facility from the CBN, put it on the local production, local rice mill, and also to grow paddy rice. I mean, a lot of this is happening in Nasarawa, in commercial, Kebbi and Kano, in commercial quantities. So if we continue to discourage importation of rice and we get used to our own local rice, now farmers, like Otom said, there is a ready market for the paddy rice grown by farmers. Unlike before, where we produce rice, they won't even have people buy the paddy from them. So those local rice mills are springing up almost everywhere. And what the CBN has done in terms of figures, it has increased our local production of paddy rice from about 7 million tons per year about 5-6 years ago. We are getting close to 10 million metric tons now in production of local rice. So which means we are improving. So under the Anchor Borrower project, it's not only rice. I mean, we have rice, wheat, millet, cassava, even root crops like cassava, yam, coconut, and water. But the one that is pronounced is that of rice and wheat. And a lot of farmers are smiling to the bank because it comes at almost zero interest rates. In 2019 alone, the banks, the deposit money banks, with support from the CBN, distributed more than 294 billion naira to local rice farmers alone. And this is improving, although some Nigerians will tell you that they have that appetite for foreign rice, the one they call long grain rice.
Which is where I'm headed now. The increase in the production of local rice, many Nigerians are complaining that it is not translating into a reduction in the price of rice. Nigeria has moved from buying rice, a bag of rice about 7-8 years ago at the cost of between 5,000 and 10,000 naira to buying a bag of rice for 22 to 28,000 naira. Well, they say that the price has come down in December. We don't exactly know the reasons for the small reduction in the price of a bag of rice. And then Nigerians are also talking about the quality of the local rice, which
and that
some say has stones.
They said that, no, they can't use stones. They said to cook jollof rice.
Jollof rice.
Must eat jollof rice.
Nigerians must eat jollof rice.
During parties, for example, you want to serve fried rice, you want to serve jollof rice, and all that. I know that we will get there. We just have to be patient. When the president took this decision to not set aside foreign exchange for importation of rice, and when the government banned importation of rice through the land borders, I knew that Nigeria would benefit tremendously from it. We have rice mills springing up across the country. Nasarawa, Taraba, Kano. In fact, Ebonyi has always been a kind of home for rice production, but it will seem that Kebbi State has overtaken everybody along that line. The truth is, the cost of production is still high, higher than the cost of imported rice. Imported rice, if they bring it into the country, it will still be under 10,000 naira, because what is even the value of that imported rice? They've kept it in their warehouses, in some cases up to 10 years.
10 years, yeah.
They use it in their country, in their feed mills. That is what we are eating. No nutritional value. When you are cooking the local rice, you feel the aroma, the inviting aroma. You cook the imported rice, you don't even feel any aroma at all. It doesn't seem like you are cooking anything. The hunger of Nigerians for things imported, things that we can grow, things that we can produce in our country, has to be moderated. We are wasting money on unnecessary things. People want to eat basmati, we must begin to like what is our own. I believe that if we imbibe technology, because the way it is now, we are not using enough technology in the production of rice. When we use enough technology, the yield per hectare will go up. Right now, you compare yield per hectare in Nigeria to what we have in Thailand, to what we have in China, to what we have in Malaysia. You see that we still have a long way to go, and that is why the price is still very high. And in terms of quality too, some of these guys, they are trying their best. Some rice mills actually have destoning machines, so that you can actually eat rice, hit their rice without seeing any stone at all. No stone at all. The bag of rice that I bought in Bali in Taraba State about 2 years ago, I didn't see a single stone. And their 50 kg bag was way bigger than the normal 50. They just put it in the bag and sold it to me like that. So that if you go to Lagos and you decided to measure it, it could be in the region of 60 or 60 something.
The retailers rebag the rice.
Yeah, well, because of lack of technology, they believe that, okay, this is the bag, 50 kg bag. They just give it to you and sell it for the price of 50 kg. But you get greater value, at the end of the day. So we will get there. What Governor Tom is saying makes sense. What I want to encourage him to do is, in his own state, let him be able to attract more integrated rice mills into his state. Because the state is the food basket. You have capacity to feed the country. Then companies, rice mills, should be able to relocate to Benue and produce rice so that the state can make plenty of IGR from it. And then even in Benue, they have plenty of mangoes, plenty of, what was it called, oranges. In fact, there's some restaurants, yam in Zaki Biam. That's the #1 rice, yam production line in our country, Zaki Biam, close to the border with Taraba. So he needs to work on that. Get a lot of those rice mills, integrated rice mills, to come to his state. Get companies that will process, oranges, turn oranges to fruit juice, and
food processors.
Yes, mangoes, to get them to come to Benue so that Benue can make more money. Of course, the other leg of it is the concern of the automakers. Government decided to reduce tariff on imported cars. So you have now even tariff reduced from 35% to 10%. Motor vehicles for transportation of goods reduced from 35% to 10%. Then they also reduced motor vehicles for transportation of people, that's cars, reduced from 35% to 5%. Definitely, some people will be happy, but the local assembly plants like Anamco, like Innocent, they are saying that this will threaten their industry. But the VP said, look, we took this decision because the local production plants, local car plants,
they can meet capacity.
They cannot provide our needs. People need to buy cars, and it's expensive for people, and people need to move around. So with this now, imported people will be able to bring in cars, whether they are Belgium or brand new, and it will help the moving around of our people.
MJ, this reduction on tariff of imported vehicles, are you optimistic that it will help, normalize the business, car business in Nigerian borders, particularly around the Benin Republic area, which has really suffered from the closure of land borders?
As a matter of fact, it is one of the reasons the government took the decision. In Naira and Kobo, if you buy, before now, you should buy a Toyota car valued at about 1 million Naira. You are paying 350,000 Naira on it as duty, which means the value comes to 1.3
million.
Yeah, 1,350,000. But now, with these new developments from January, the 1 million Naira, we're only paying a duty of 50,000 Naira on it, which means we will be having cheaper imported vehicles. And like they said, in as much as we want to encourage our local vehicle assembling plants, manufacturing automobile manufacturing companies, they do not have that capacity yet to produce enough vehicles for 200 Nigerians. That's a fact. So, because it's either they lack the resources or the manpower or both to actually do that. I mean, the number of assembly lines that you have, I mean, these things takes processes. So a plant that can only assemble probably 200 cars in a week, how many can you manufacture in a month? And you have different brands. So the capacity is not yet there, but then we can get there. So the reduction in tariff will also boost trade, increase revenue at our ports, and discourage smuggling through the land borders. Because one of the reasons why they prefer Cotonou, Togo, and all those borders is the fact that they believe the duty here is so high. So they send their cars, their vehicles to Cotonou and bring them through the land borders. I mean, you see some of them driving and face in a gun battle with the customs. I mean, most of the time, but I think that will reduce now, except those who are really very greedy amongst them.
It's not a lot of money.
So with this reduction, I think it should encourage the
legitimate business
importers now to bring in their stuffs from abroad. But beyond the reduction, we should also fast track the efficiency of our ports. I mean, in terms of the number of days that you used to clear your vehicles or goods from the port. So that's, I mean,
manual examination.
I mean, we have gone beyond that. They said their scanner has broken down, and they are proposing a very ridiculous amount. I mean,
that's why many people rather go to the ports, because they don't have to pay the demurrage here in our country. We've been talking about port congestion for years, but we've not been able to solve the problem. Too many security operatives in the ports.
With contention over whose right it is to
extort money and all that. You all have APC, you have all kinds of security agencies there.
NDLEA, immigration, what have you?
Now, gentlemen, Besides the inability of the local manufacturers of, auto, cars to meet the demands, let's also look at attitudinal acceptance, so to speak, of what is Nigeria. And I immediately recall now, when our legislators had to buy cars, that they would rather buy, the imported, the ones made outside the country. Can we also look at that aspect of embracing and buying what is Nigeria?
Yes, we've suggested this to our lawmakers a number of times. Our attitude to foreign goods has to change. I'm particularly ashamed that in the National Assembly, we had an opportunity to go for what's it called? Innocent. But they shut down that suggestion. You can imagine the kind of money that we spend on buying jeeps, buying expensive sedans for our federal lawmakers. If they were patronizing locally made automobiles,
that will empower them to improve their capacity.
That would be providing jobs. They will be able to expand. But we prefer what is imported to what is produced here. And some of our locally produced materials can actually rival some of the things that we are happy to have. I can tell you that today, if they bring a locally made Ankara fabric to you, and they put Akosombo, the one from Ghana, beside it, you start thinking the one from Ghana was better. Yeah. But the truth is, before a lot of our textile companies here died in the aftermath of the structural adjustment program, they were among the best, and they provided job opportunities for our people. People like Oshomole, products of the textile farms. You know? Kaduna. And in fact, the whole of Kakuri, Makira in Kaduna were they were communities where those textile workers were living. Oshomole used to work with Arewa Textile, and I remember there was even one conference in Kaduna where he promised that they would do their best to revive some of these textile mills. But of course, nothing happened. Innocent, as a Nigerian company, we have an obligation to help it to grow, to help it to survive in these extremely difficult times. But our leaders are not leading the way. If I were the president, for example, I would say, no, go and give me Innocent vehicle as my official car.
Can even make it an official policy.
Make it, put all the security features that it needs to have. That's all the industrialized countries of the world. They started with what you used to call industrial espionage. You know, China used to import airplanes from America, including even their own presidential jet. They used to import from America. Mm-hmm. But of course, right now, they too can produce airplanes. If we continue along this path, we are not going to make progress. The president has to lead the way, and the National Assembly should come up with a policy that says we want to patronize locally made automobiles. Look at even the one that I went to in Ogun State, the Proforce that makes these armored vehicles. And these armored vehicles are durable. They are the best that the army has now, because they factored in the local Nigerian terrain, the conditions here in producing it. But we brought in a lot of foreign armored vehicles. Some of them are dead now. So we have to look within, the way the Indians have done. Look at India. They are so proud of their Tata. It may not be great, but they are proud of it. They are riding it. The president is riding. Everyone is happy with their product. So this is the way we have to do things.
Nigeria must lead the way. We have Charles from Lagos. Good evening, Charles.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, you're on. Make your contribution very brief.
Yeah, what I want to say is that I still blame the president for all these all these issue of crime, pollution, and practice. Mr. President should have done an executive order mandating all the government agencies to use locally manufactured or assembled vehicles. That one is not done. The ministries and the other agencies, they are still buying official jeeps for their workers at the expense of the locally manufactured vehicles. Okay? So they have to do something about it. Like Vajay said, the other like in Nigeria here, it seems that the Indians, they are running their own vehicles in Nigeria here. The Hyundais of this world, that's what they're using there. Up from South Korea, they're using their own vehicles there. They are workers in Nigeria and they're citizens in Nigeria. They don't buy the Toyotas of this world. They don't buy all those ones. We should also try to encourage their own companies so that they can also move forward. That's the way it should go.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much.
People, most of them are governors, them are team government, most of them are businessmen. What are they using all those vehicles on annual basis? What are they using it for?
Yes, thank you very much, Charles, for your contribution. Majid, you'd like to say a few things about this and then we'll move to the next topic.
Yes, like I said, it's always good to encourage local production. I see no reason why the federal government cannot lead by example. I think I give kudos to the military. If you see, most of their flag cars, they still use Peugeot. You see, it might be a Peugeot 605 or 607 series, but military, with the elite Air Force, they might have
they use plenty of Proforce vehicles. They've even invested in Proforce.
Yeah, so I think kudos, even the military, if other arms of governments, probably like the especially the legislative arm, the number of vehicles they buy every 4 years at the National Assembly, they should encourage the local auto farms. I mean, it's by continuing to patronize them that they get better. The volume of units they churn out, they'll be able to employ more Nigerians, increase their production lines, increase their production capacity. I mean, reduces the burden on the foreign exchange we spend to import all these vehicles from abroad. And it will even improve the level at which we are able to create the spare parts locally for these vehicles. Like something at the point was being assembled in Nigeria, but today it's moribund. So we need to take a look at what led to all of this.
And those times our currency was strong.
We had very strong currency then.
Well, we had Lisa here, man.
Yes.
We had Exide producing batteries, you know. Everything just came down suddenly.
A lot of the solutions to this economic jigsaw, are actually within us if we can look inwards.
Of course.
Yeah.
We call it a backward integration, which I think we need to actually look, especially now that we have a local content policy where most of our goods and products and services must have a particular percentage of local content. So also we can do this. I mean, they are already doing this. We have a fully owned Nigerian vehicle manufactured by the military. On parade one day, they dismantled it and coupled it back with within 10 minutes. They disassembled and coupled back. So, and the thing was moving.
If a charge can order for 100 units of Proforce's armored vehicle, then that's to tell you that those things are good
enough armored personnel carriers for the Nigerian police
need to patronize
to combat crime.
So it's time for Nigeria to walk the talk in terms of economic development. That's all on Journalist Hangout today. Join us tomorrow for another edition of the program. We're on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Thank you for watching. Thank you, gentlemen, for being on the program. Babajide Kolade Utitoju and Majid Jamiu.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I am Bukola Samuel Webimo. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.